From a cookie cutter tract home to one of the coolest houses in the neighborhood, this $922,000 front and backyard is definitely a yard you need to see. Your yard can make all the neighbors say, wow, even if you live in a tract home neighborhood. Let me show you how. Here's what this yard looked like before. It was just an average lot, and if you went through the neighborhood, you would see that all these homes basically have the same yard. Here's what this yard looks like now. We created the most luxurious, ultra-modern entrance with this really unique driveway that has this crisscross tile pattern and faux grass woven in between. The front fountain is massive, a true statement piece on this street. And especially at night when the lights turn on, this thing is magic. And that's just the entrance. Wait till I show you what's in the backyard. Before we head to the back, actually, I'm gonna show you this really quickly. So this actually evolved based on the client having a great idea. And he said, my driveway is not big enough for all the parties they're gonna have here. And so we widened this and stretched it out all the way to that gate. And the idea was that he could not only park here, but when you wanna have a food truck or a party, he could actually open those two gates and pull the food truck through, which is really neat. As we're walking to the back, if you like this look, this is from Arizona Tile. It's called Unica Moon, and it's a 24 by 48 tile. Beautiful and modern for a style like this. Here's where the gates would open. Basically, both these open. Just imagine a food truck popping through, and it's in your basketball court. How cool is this? The whole yard starts with fun element, and I love that. One of the things that we did on this was to make sure there was privacy from the neighbors, from the main street that's facing it. So having this large area that's just really kind of surrounded by green, but have the functionality of the court. I haven't shot here yet. This is actually truthfully my first time. Let's see if I can do this. I always miss on my videos. Yes, that was take one too, it really was. Now we have the gate because it has to have some kind of safety element from that lower gate in the front, and that's why this is here. Typically it'd be nice to have it all the way open, but it also helps with bouncing balls. All right, I am so excited to show you this. So there's three main elements to this yard. We're starting on element number one, which is the entertainment side of it. So this area wasn't quite completed for the video, which really stinks, but I'll show you and tell you, I should say, what this. So they have cushions here, and the only thing missing right here is about 3 different fire pits that we're gonna have staged throughout this area. And imagine, you could probably have like 30, 40 people sitting here, propping up, having conversation, and enjoying the space. Then you actually enjoy walking up the steps to this area up here. And this leads you to obviously the functionality of a beautiful table, dining area, then the island. And then from the island, we go to the actual functional grill space. Now, why is this area so thick? Typically when we do islands, we'll have them like 6 inches thick, which this is 6 inches. Why is this area here? Well, the client really wanted, check this out. This is huge griddle surface. There's a specific name for it. I might pop it in the title later, but this area has such a wide burner that the plate was actually visible. So we came up with the idea of thickening the tile coming down in order to hide the ugly kind of structural element parts. And I'm pointing that out because little details matter so much when you're trying to create a luxury yard and you're also trying to create that modern feel. You don't want things to be just hanging out with all the utilitarian areas, and that's really important in good design. This is a grill. Let's see if they used it. Oh, they did. I feel like 1 out of 3 they don't, even though they've been here for 6 months to a year. Sinks, some basic elements that you might find in any, and then you have floating shelves with lights underneath, and then they have the TV here on the left, which is really nice. And then the patio cover. This is a 4K aluminum. It's a really modern element. It cantilevers over, meaning there's no 4 beams. It's only 2 supporting from the back, but it's a really nice shaded area. Phase 2 or portion 2 of the yard is definitely probably the most dynamic of this yard. So let me show you this. First of all, we didn't want to have everything concrete in tile. So we have the turf, but it draws us into the secondary space, the lounge space. And the lounge space truly is connected with the pool and next to the pool. So first of all, let's start with this area here. In fact, check this out at night. This thing is beautiful. Having 3 individual fire bowls was a first for one of our designs, but it's layered. So you have the fire bowls, and then you have this unique wall. Now this wall has water behind it. It's a little hard to see from this angle, but at night it really starts to pop. And now I want to show you this. It's so cool. Let me show you this real quick. See how from this angle here, you can't really see the depth. And as you start to rotate, see how it's starting, like you can see these gaps start to life, and then you start to see the color. See how there's a transition from no color because you couldn't see the background? So that's all about discovery. And discovery is something that's so important in Foxterra's design. We love creating moments where you don't capture the whole essence of the design until you walk around and maneuver around and see it from different angles. If you're considering doing a water wall in your backyard design, having a flat surface definitely doesn't move the water or make it as visible. So having a 3D surface, something like even like this, helps shake the water and froth it a little bit. But we did this intentionally because we wanted it to be really minimal because we have a lot happening in the yard. But just a tip, and also make sure you use a dark surface. A light surface will not reflect water as well as a dark surface will. Now I'm going to show you the layers of the pool. First is with the infinity. A lot of people ask, where does that water go? Does it just spill into the tile? And this is a good angle. You can kind of see there's a trough here. And this trough is actually not as thin as what you see. The trough extends out all the way to this tile piece. It's usually about 18 inches to a foot minimum. And this is tiles covering an actual beam here that's holding all the water and it's capturing the water and pumping it back up. All right, so the next layer of this is floating steps. I know there's something just really calming and mesmerizing about floating steps. So you have that, and then the movement of the water is kind of created by these water bubblers. And I love water bubblers because they have the color changing lights. I think it's a really cool feature. And then we didn't want to leave the steps kind of hanging because it felt too open. That's why we created these designed these pillars. These are really cool. Actually, these are just from Amazon. I think about 150, 200 bucks. Not expensive at all. I'll put a link for you in the description if you actually are interested in buying these. I don't benefit, but just to show you where you can get them, to help you out. And then these are just tile columns, something simple. But sometimes when you add volume like this, so you can see all 5 of these, but see something about volume. If there's a singular one, it just wouldn't make a difference. But something about seeing these all together and it kind of brings you in. And I said 5, but there's actually 6 because there's one on the other side of the sunken seating area. All the way, see that? And so all this kind of feature was very simple. It's a wall, tile, and a light. $150 light or so. Those layering makes a big difference when you're thinking about creating a luxury look. Now, let me show you what this looks like. Nothing here. Yes, there is. Here it is, a rain curtain. How cool is that? I wanted to show you this because you can have even surprise water features that no one knows about, and it adds an extra element to the design. I really like this one. There's a downside to having it on all the time because of the proximity to the bar. We didn't have any other choice on this design in the sense of the proximity to the bar because a cantilever can only handle so much overhang without having huge structural beams added. But sometimes it's worth compromise. I see people often say, well, because it's splashing on the island, I don't want it. I'm like, why not? You can have this on, not be using the island and be looking at it from the inside of your house. So I just want to encourage you, don't let a feature that maybe has a little side effect you have to clean up keep you from doing something that's really cool. All right, I love this feature. Now, if you're trying to do a swim up bar in your pool, just remember the size you need to consider doing is 3 feet deep. Has to be 3 feet. Otherwise, you have the counter. If it's shorter than that, it's going to come to here. So it needs to feel natural like it does here. So 3 feet is the key. 3 feet actually is from the top of the bar is typically an average bar, or you can do 42 inches as if you want extra high. But you walk down here, we put turf in here just to give it a little bit of life because it felt like there was so much tile in this yard. Now, if you have a lot of use and you're like having a lot of people cook and maybe a lot of kids, you might want to actually do tile for easy cleaning up. But hey, this client really liked this idea and it works great here. But you have a secondary kind of island. You have a freezer and drinks you can put in. This is like a little serving plates for different seasonings. You have a sink. You have a really cool bar setup here. So anyways, additional space. And that's what I love. Remember, this is a track. Remember what this looked like? Let me show you again. This literally was desolate, but changing now elevations, you have so many fun things to be able to use now in the space. Furniture arrangement's actually really important. You'd be like, why do we actually have the back to the pool? Well, the actual windows have here, after you kind of see here that you have these beautiful windows that actually fold out so they can look back out and they're seating inside. So you have this kind of synergy of both facing each other and then everybody inside can actually look and see the pool and stuff from that. So that's really kind of a fun area. And also never forget the use of an outdoor rug. I love how much these actually set it off. It makes a big, big difference. So this yard was actually really narrow. If you look at the before photos, this yard really had not a lot of depth. According to my detailed measurements I did right now, it was 8 steps, so about 24 feet. But it's about 24 feet deep, which is not a lot of space, but I don't want you to think that you're limited with putting a pool in even such a short and narrow space. Now we dress this up by having fire bowls. These look amazing at night. They add a nice little detail to it. And one of the furniture pieces still had to come, and I was so bummed, but I'll explain what is going to be here. So on this huge structure here was actually going to be a daybed. So the daybed is not here yet, but imagine sitting here, you have the structure, and you look at this effect. I'm actually like in a maze. Here, let me show you. Come here, let me show you this. Let me show you what this looks like from this perspective. Look at the view that you have here of the yard. Look at that. Yes. I mean, just the patio cover, the way it kind of L's over there. You have the lights, you have the bar. In fact, the bar swims around. I didn't show you that, but it kind of makes an L shape there. Look how beautiful that looks. But anyways, having a daybed in a key area of your yard where you can kind of look and get a great vantage point and relax. I'm talking quieter because I'm imagining myself relaxing, reading a book. I love just being able to sit in a space and relax. Now this area behind where I'm facing, I'm gonna have it rotate in a second. It's a surprise. It's off the master retreat. It was made specifically, designed specifically for the client's love of modern, but to have a fire and a seating area. Let me show you what it looks like. See how we did that? See how, in fact, before I show you this, let's back up and show you how we made this area hidden but accessible. Hedge off the house, hedge off this wall, offset them, and you walk in between. And that really creates this hidden kind of space and surprises you. Now look at this. Stay there, and I want to show you, is this lower than the height of on the side? It is. And that was intentional. It's create this kind of drooping effect, added a really cool modern element to it. There's cushions coming that are gonna be really comfortable to sit in here. Then you have this really dynamic shaped fire feature. It's a really unique look right off the master. And I love this too. The client was really, really cool. They have great energy, and they came up with a great idea for their side yard. Check it out. That's so fun to do. I actually haven't done this for a long time, but check this out. He literally took full use of the side yard, and I love this to encourage you. If you're struggling to find a way to use your side yard, make it a gym like he did. You might not have the weather to have it all the time, but even these custom-made AC covers were well done. Look at this. Then you have the outdoor rubber mats, and then you have a whole gym outset, which I think is super cool, especially in California here when you have good weather. This is awesome.
So I'm having to do a voiceover because I did not turn on my mic when shooting this last part. But what I was saying is thank you so much for touring this ultra modern $700,000 backyard design here in Southern California. And this is just proof that you can transform a standard tract home into a luxurious private resort. And if you want a custom design yard that's one of a kind, like this one, click the link in the description box to book your free design consultation. Or if you're not quite ready to start, we have a ton of resources for you as you're starting to think about what your dream yard could look like. And you can start by downloading our design guide that we created for you. It has our latest design inspiration. You can click through and see what works. It's in our description box. If you're still watching, make sure and join our email list. We send out emails twice a week with our latest design, tons of design ideas, tips, and the wow transformation that maybe you need for your yard. Thank you for watching, and subscribe.